anything on it.
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
And the Tennessee Volunteers are the SEC Tournament champions. It's been a long time coming. The last time Tennessee won this tournament was in 1979, but they've got another trophy to put in the trophy case at Thompson Bowling Arena.
The 2023 SEC champions, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Hit high in the air into left field. Stevenson circling in front of the fence into foul ground. He goes into the corner, makes the catch, and that's the ball game.
And the Volunteers will hold the trophy.
How much fun is this, man? God, I love it. High fly, deep right, and Tennessee walks it off.
The 2-2 to Denton.
Well hit deep left field. It is gone.
For the win for the Volunteers. From 40. On the way, a knuckleball. He got it!
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top. This is college football at its absolute best.
Welcome in to the Vol Fanatic Show. This is college athletics at its absolute best. My name is Skylar. Michael, my co-host. How are we doing on this fine Sunday afternoon?
Oh, we're doing all right. Been a bit of an up and down week. A little bit more up than down, but
right.
You know what? We're here. We're talking about it. So it's a good day, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you guys are watching right now, we appreciate you tuning in. Do us a favor. Share the show. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, share that show out. Let's bring in all the viewers that we can so that we can talk ball together. Y'all comment. Let us know what y'all are thinking. Lady Vols just wrapped up a 3-game series with Georgia, and that was exciting. We're going to talk all about it. But segment 1, man, we're going to get into it. Let us know about our – actually, I skipped the show sponsor. I apologize so much. But our show is sponsored by Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he decided to start one of his own, where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance Agency today. Give him a call at 865-272-3387. He is an agent. He's based out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Guys, if y'all don't know y'all's agent, give him a call. Get a chance to get to know him, because if things go south, you want to know who to call in those situations. But no, we've got 3 segments today. I was really excited to get to talk about it because, man, we've had a lot of news this week. So segment 1 is actually going to be about the Lady Vols coaching search after Kellie Harper got fired. So, but good news, we have the coach just announced about 30 minutes ago. So we'll be talking about that in segment 1. Segment 2 is going to be all about the baseball and softball teams, as baseball just kicked off game 3 right now against Auburn in a rubber match. And then segment 3 is going to be about spring training, some recruiting news and stuff like that. But without further ado, Michael, let us know who our segment 1 sponsor is so we can get right into the thing.
So our segment 1 sponsor is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured, we specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. Contact Jeff Mole at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. A big thank you to Jeff Mole and Optimal Asbestos Services for being our segment 1 sponsor. And with that, you mentioned it, breaking news about 30 minutes ago, and I'm so happy it happened then and not after we got off the air, because that would have been our luck. Tennessee hired a new coach, but let's talk about Kellie Harper first.
Let's do it.
Monday, I believe it was around lunchtime, the news came out that Kellie Harper had been fired by the University of Tennessee. We talked about it on Sunday and said we felt like that she would get another year, maybe 2 out of it, depending on how next year went. But no, Danny White said what needs to be done must be done now. So went ahead.
What are your thoughts on that kind of comment? Because, I mean, I get what he's saying. If there's speculation that it's going to happen eventually, it's better just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, right? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Kind of basically just saying out loud to all the coaching staff now today that there's really not a long leash. You start failing, whatever that means, depending on what sport it is, because, I mean, you could argue that Kellie Harper wasn't really failing. She just wasn't producing championships. And that was enough for Danny White to pull the trigger.
Well, that tells me that Danny White is serious about women's basketball and the history of it, because, I mean, Pat Summitt, she won 8 national titles at the University of Tennessee. I mean, she set the bar high. And, you know, Holly Warlick came in right behind Summitt. She made it to 2 Elite Eights, I believe. I know she made 1. I believe it was 2. Couldn't get past that, and it steadily got worse the last couple of years.
Right.
Kellie Harper made 2 straight Sweet 16s. Now, she failed to do so this year. But, I mean, it was one of those lines where she was consistent, but she wasn't getting any better. So Danny White's saying, look, we expect this.
Yeah.
Right now, you're about right here. So, I mean, if we've got to, we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger, and we're going to find somebody that can try to get us back up to here.
So your thoughts on the firing, was it justified? Is this something you agreed with this year, just going ahead and pulling the trigger?
I've got mixed feelings about it. I mean,
sure.
Yes, I do think that this was a direction that it needed to go. This year, I don't know. I kind of wanted to see how she went out on the recruiting trails, hit the transfer portal, stuff like that. Just see if maybe she could get to that next level next year, get past the Sweet 16. But at the same time, I'm saying see. There's no guarantee that she was going to do that.
Right.
What are your thoughts on it?
No, I mean, I think it was the right move, unfortunately. And the reason, my justification is, you had a fan base that was completely 50-50 on this.
Yeah.
And so even if you don't fire Kellie Harper, you've got half the fan base sitting there screaming for her to be fired, half the fan base kind of having her back, and then thus ticket sales are probably going to go down. You're not going to be able to fill up the arena. Everything around it is just, that's going to push away, recruits as well, right? So, I mean, if there's not, the atmosphere is not energetic, you've got rumors and rumblings about the coaches need to be fired. Like, once those start happening, it's better to just go ahead, in my opinion, rip that Band-Aid off. Let's start fresh, have some excitement around the program, because I think that's something that we were actually lacking, is there was hardly any excitement around the program. There was no hype. There was no build-up. The girls played their hearts out for Kellie. I truly believe that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think it was justified, because even if you keep Kellie Harper, like I said, you just have a completely split fan base. And it's usually not good when you've got a mass majority of a population just completely split 50-50. So, it is what it is. I wish all the best for Kellie Harper, but we did mention, as of 30 minutes ago, Danny White has hired our new head coach in Miss Kim Caldwell, the Marshall head coach, for 1 year. But, man, I tell you what, this is a different name, definitely gone outside the Volunteer family for the first time since the late, great Pat Summitt was here. But overall, initially, man, what are your thoughts on Miss Kim Caldwell?
I mean, she's a winner. She is without a doubt a winner. I talked to the Thundercast podcast a little bit earlier before we came on, and he said she's a winner, always has been. You'll love her brand of basketball, 100% hustle, hockey-style line-changing substitutions, a smothering pace. He did say, I just wish we would have gotten her for more than one season. She inherited a 500 team at Marshall last year, led them to the Sun Belt Conference regular season and tournament championships. They beat Florida this past year, and they had 2 separate 10-game winning streaks in the same season. And, I mean, her overall record says it all. She is 217-31 in 8 seasons as a head coach. She has earned 8 NCAA berths across Division I and Division II, winning 7 total conference champions. conference championships. The only year she didn't was the COVID year, in which they finished second. And she also took her alma mater, Division II Glenville State, to the Division II national championship and won it that year. So, I mean, she's a winner.
Yeah.
This is an awesome hire, in my opinion. Some people might have some questions about it not getting a proven name, a big name, but this is a Danny White hire. I mean, a young coach with a lot of upside.
So, about what you just said, getting a proven name, I actually really love this hire. The first thing I did was, who is Kim Caldwell? Google.
Yeah, absolutely.
Search. Because, I'm like, who is this chick? Obviously, she's got to be doing some great things. And you said it, man. The overall record that she's posted as a head coach in 8 years, 217 to 31. So everybody jokingly is like, oh, let's go get Dawn Staley. She's the hot shot. Well, one, she's not leaving South Carolina because she's at the top of the pinnacle. But two, even if she were to leave South Carolina to come to Tennessee, she's already done everything she wants to do. The motivation factor is probably not going to be there. Whereas you've got Kim Caldwell, who's done all this at the Division II level, right? She's only been Division I coach for 1 year. Now, it was a successful year, but you're going to have a coach coming in that is hungry to prove herself in the big stage, right? And obviously, she's got the right winning formula. She did post that national championship. That record that year was 35-1, right? Yeah. So you're getting a much younger version, I think, of Dawn Staley, and I like that. That excites me a lot about this team.
Yeah, and another thing, this past year with Marshall, so they were picked to finish 9th in the preseason Sun Belt poll. And as I mentioned, they won the regular season and the conference title this past year in her first year without a full recruiting cycle / transfer portal. None of that. I mean, she got some of her girls in that she wanted, but basically took the team that finished 500 last year and turned them around. They averaged 85.3 points per game this year, which is 4th nationally, and forced 24.2 turnovers per game, which is 2nd nationally. It was the first 20-win regular season for Marshall since 1990 and 91. So, I mean, the more that I read about her, the more excited I'm getting, man.
No, absolutely. So the contract is structured to where she's actually going to be making $750,000 a year through 2029. That's a pretty good contract, I think, especially for somebody that's going to be not their first year in Division I, but second, their first big contract for sure. But Danny White had this to say, and quote, "From the beginning, our goal has been to find a dynamic head coach who can restore our women's basketball program to national prominence. Kim Caldwell is the ideal person to lead us. Kim has a winning formula that she has successfully implemented everywhere she has coached, with a fast-paced, high-octane offense and pressure defense that has led to remarkable results. In this new era of college sports, it is vital that we find an innovative head coach with a strong track record of winning titles. We are eager to return the Lady Vols to a championship level, and we are confident that Kim Caldwell is the coach who can lead us back to prominency." That is per the Knox News Sentinel. I'm excited about it. I mean, like I said, when the hire was made, I'm like, who? And then you start realizing who she is, and you start understanding why Danny White's been so good at hiring coaches. He goes and finds these coaches who are, I guess, what you would call potential, hires, but you almost know it's going to happen. I mean, he kind of did the same thing with Josh Heupel, right? Josh Heupel's really never been at a big program. I mean, he was at Missouri for a little bit as an offense coordinator, but never really coached as a head coach at a big program until he came to Tennessee. But when you've got a system that works, it's going to work most places. Now, I know SEC is a different animal, but I'm glad that she gets the chance to, prove herself on the big stage at one of the most historic programs in Lady basketball history.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that Thundercast Pod said, get tickets if you can. It'll be something to really enjoy watching live. So So they're really high on her. I know that they hate that she's gone, but he did say, wish her nothing but the best. And he did say, Tennessee is up there with the best.
Yeah. No, she's gonna have a lot of work cut out for her. I mean, obviously with the coaching change, players are hitting the portal, whatnot. So she's gonna have her work cut out. Getting there, trying to retain the players that are there, and then that way she kind of build around who's going to stay. So Justin tunes in. Man, we appreciate you tuning in. He said the SEC will be a good test for her coaching skills. I agree. I don't think Marshall was a bad one, honestly, especially in the basketball world. But her coming to the SEC and having to face Dawn Staley, Kim Mulkey, those type of coaches, those type of programs. She's going to have her work cut out for her pretty quickly, but like I said, you look at her record, wherever she's been, I know it's mostly been Division II, but it's basketball, man. You're not supposed to win that many games. It's kind of like baseball, in my opinion. You never hear these ridiculous winning percentages because at the end of the day, it's just one of those games where it's not going to be your day at some point. It's not like football where you can kind of just be the bigger, more talented, most physical team all the time. It's just one of those things where it's a game of numbers. Sometimes there's a lid on the basket for you, but it doesn't affect her at least. At least it doesn't seem like that. So I'm not going to put big expectations on her year one, but I would like to see how she does in the transfer portal, as well as situational coaching coming up next year, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited for that hire. Do you have anything else before we move on to baseball and softball?
No, man, I actually do have something that's related to basketball that I do want to touch on, if that's okay with you, because men's basketball, right?
I know where you're going with this.
Exactly. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up so I can show it on the stream. This was actually a shock to the senses because we've talked highly of this kid for quite some time, but men's basketball has actually had a loss in the transfer portal already, as Freddie DeLeon, the redshirt freshman guard, is expected to enter. I believe he's already entered now. But this was one of those that shocked me, man. He was getting playing time already as it is, and you would expect him to get a lot more coming up this next season, but obviously he's got other plans. So I just wanted to see your reaction, because I think you're really high on this kid, and just kind of what are your thoughts?
I'm high on DeLeon. I will say I'm a little bit higher on Cameron Carr, but
absolutely.
This definitely shocked me a little bit because going into next season, I said, we've already got a good 9-man rotation. All you need is to go out in the portal and get that one go-to player, and we've got a 10-man rotation right there. I said you've got Ziegler, you got Meshack, you got DeLeon, Carr, you've got Jordan Gainey. There's your 5 guard/wings right there. And then at the post, you've got Jonas Adu, Tobey Awaka, JP Estrella, Cade Phillips. You got the post spot locked down. Go out and get that go-to wing or guard right there that can get you a bucket night in and night out. I guess the way that I take this right here is Rick Barnes is like, look, we love you. We've got a place for you, but there's some other guys that might get a little bit of playing time ahead of you.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's the way DeLeon took it, something like that. And, I mean, he's a go-getter. He's going to go and try to get a basket. He wants to create his own stuff, and that's not something that you really get in the Rick Barnes offense either.
Yeah, man. I understand. And one of those things, kind of like we just mentioned, we're a little bit higher on Cameron Carr. And I wonder if that was something that was kind of like writing on the wall. And maybe he was seeing that. You don't know. It could be about money. Obviously, that's the first thing that fans go to when somebody hits the transfer portal is, oh, he's looking to get a better deal, bigger bag, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, some kids just want to play. And it could be one of those things where that could have been an issue. But again, with him being a redshirt freshman and the team being as stacked as they were this year, I would have just had to imagine if he kept grinding, he was going to get a lot more minutes, next year. So I don't know. I wish all the best for him. I got no hate towards him whatsoever. I get it. It's a business now. But just wanted to let the folks know that the moment basketball season ends for these teams, man, it's pretty quick on trying to, as a coach, like there's no taking a break. You're going straight into player meetings, trying to make sure, hey, what's your plans for next year? Are you coming back? Do I need to start looking for somebody to replace you, or X, Y, Z? Do you need a better deal? So it's just one of those things where Rick Barnes hasn't been able to take a nap yet. He's been having to kind of deal with these type of situations. But no, wish all the best for Freddie DeLeon.
Yeah, and I will say this: he's talented enough. He can go, even if it's not a big time program, he's going to go somewhere and he's going to be a good player. That's the kind of player that he is. Unfortunately, it won't be in Knoxville, but I'm like you, wish him nothing but the best. Got no ill will towards him at all.
Yeah, man. Well, with that being said, I think we're going to move right on along to the softball-baseball segment. I think we'll start out with softball just because they wrapped up that series. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know about our Segment 2 sponsor, and that is P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so that you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Y'all be sure to contact P&L Business Services at pnlbusinessservices.com. I'm telling you what, man, they are not taking a break with tax season. It's been crazy, so I'm sure they're looking forward to this month, trying to wrap up some things. But I know they told me, I was talking to them the other day, they were like, man, doing taxes isn't that hard. But reaching out to these companies about getting all the documents and all the information that they need to get the taxes turned in is a whole nother story. So, but no, y'all reach out to them if that's something they are interested in. They do the full service payroll, everything. So, segment 2. Softball. Let's talk softball because I'm excited.
Yeah, let's talk about softball.
Now, the midweek game got canceled, so they actually had a long break. But going into this series, keep in mind, Kiki Malloy, I think, rolled her ankle or something during practice and has been wearing a boot all weekend. So I don't think it's anything too serious, but that is something to if fans were wondering why she in a boot, what happened. Well, you would hope that you get healthy on a week-long break, but in this case, she had a practice incident, rolled her ankle, but I don't think it's anything season-ending, which is great news.
Karen Wickley has listed her as day-to-day,
yeah.
So it should be any day now.
I got you. Well, they started out firing on that Friday night opener as we got the win 5-1. Carlin Pickens picks up another win with 7 innings pitched. She allowed 6 hits. 1 run, an earned run. She walked 2 batters but had 6 strikeouts. And then McKenna Gibson had a day at the plate, going 3 for 4 with a home run, a double, and 2 RBIs. What was there to like? I mean, this is a massive matchup, a lot of implications. Thankfully, we got this one at home. This is right at the midweek point in the SEC schedule, and this is number 3 versus number 4 for all the marbles, right?
Yeah, and these two teams, they were picked to finish 1-2 in the conference this year, and this was a battle this weekend. I mean, if you're a softball fan, this is exactly what you wanted this weekend. But as you mentioned, Tennessee pulls out the 5-1 win in this one. Let's see, Riley West was 1 for 4 on the day. You mentioned McKenna Gibson with a big day, 3 for 4 from the plate. Zeta Pooney, 1 for 4. Sophia Nugent, 1 for 2. Julia Katsoyanopoulos, 1 for 2, and Alana Leach, who is playing in place of Kiki Malloy, 1 for 3 on the day. The one thing that I will say about this game that's kind of a negative, Tennessee left 10 runners on base.
Oh yeah,
they had. I know they left the bases loaded once, at least once in this game. I mean,
that was kind of a story of the series. I mean, luckily it didn't cost us the series, but there were several innings this weekend where they left the bases loaded.
Yeah, so I mean, luckily you are able to get 5 runs across and hold Georgia to 1, but man, it was just lots of opportunities for more runs. But Carlin Pickens with another great day on the mound, kind of got roughed up a little bit last weekend against Auburn. She found her placement on stuff again today, or in this game here, got back to the Carlin Pickens that we're used to seeing, so that's a big positive.
No, absolutely. And Zeta Pooney had a big double with 2 RBIs that helped aid to this Tennessee win. as they had crooked numbers in the first and the fourth innings to really put away the Georgia Bulldogs in Game 1, which was a big positive because, you had softball, baseball playing on the same day, obviously, for their series openers. And the baseball team, unfortunately, took a punch to the face in the first game. So this was the positive note on that Friday night as they looked to carry that momentum into Saturday. And unfortunately, came up just a little bit short as the Lady Vols lost, I believe, 3-2 against Georgia, which is okay. Bats went a little cold. Peyton Gottschall, I think, pitched a really great game. I understand that they lost, but, she six innings pitched, gave up a hit, an earned run, but she had 7 strikeouts. I don't know what more you could really ask for out of her. I think she pitched one of her best games of the season, but unfortunately came up just a little short. The bats kind of went cold, and it is what it is, but it set up a great Game 3 matchup for today.
Yeah, Charlie Orsini got the start in this game, and she pitched very well in that first inning, but unfortunately, Georgia got a couple runners on in that second, got them across, brought in Peyton Gottschall. Charlie couldn't get an out in that second inning. And, how often do you see a pitcher here? The only hit that Gottschall gave up was a solo shot in the 5th inning. And she still gets the loss, man. How often do you see that? It's not often.
I don't know how that's... Is it because they were tied when she went in? Like, how does that work? How did that happen?
So they were down whenever she entered the game. But when Tennessee came back and tied it up, whatever decision happened after that goes to Gottschall. And once she gave up the solo home run to get behind again, she gets charged with the loss.
That's tough, man.
Yeah,
that is tough.
It's unfortunate. But you got to give credit to Walters for Georgia. She came in the 3rd inning, and she only gave up 1 hit as well.
Yeah.
So, it was fantastic pitching performances.
She was dealing, and I had this worry, obviously with Kiki Malloy. I understand she's not the whole offense, but that is a massive part of your offense. She's the home run leader at Tennessee. I was kind of worried that maybe the bats would go a little cold. And right here, that's exactly what happened as no player on Tennessee's roster had a 2-hit day. You had Lauren Mealer go 1 for 4. You had Zeta Pooney go 1 for 2. McKenna Gibson went 1 for 3. And Riley West went 1 for 3 as well. But other than that, you had Elena Leach had 1 for 3 with a double. Everybody else,
an extra base hit.
Yeah, Katie Taylor 0 for 2. Julia Katsunopoulos went 0 for 3. Sophia Nugent 0 for 2. Destiny Rodriguez 0 for 2. Let's see, and then I think that's
you had a couple of
pinch hitters, but other than that, or pinch runners, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, it was a frustrating day at the plate. But you got to credit that to Georgia's pitching staff. They're not going to be where they're at without having a really good staff, right? Georgia, I believe, obviously was 3rd in the country at the time. But I was wanting to say their record was 31-6. 30. It was something insane like that, 30-6.
I think it's 3-7, and then after yesterday and today, I believe it's 31-8.
Maybe, and they're now 7-5 in the SEC because the rubber match. Let's talk about that because we just kind of led into that. But the rubber match today at 11 this morning, it was an early game, but Tennessee, man, they came from behind and pulled it out. It was a nail biter. Carlin Pickens got the start, and she was dealing in the first couple of innings, but in innings 3 and 4, she kind of lost control of her first pitch strikes. She wasn't getting ahead in the count, wasn't pitching terribly, and she never does, but Peyton Gottschall came in and pretty much locked down Georgia's offense after that, and man, I tell you what, Sophia Nugent coming in big with a 1 for 3, but a 3-run home run in the 6th inning to put away the Lady Dogs. And your Tennessee Lady Volunteers get the series against the number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before we went live. It was huge because Tennessee already had a decent separation at the top of the SEC standings. That widened the margin there, getting the victory this morning. I believe you said Texas A&M is sitting in 2nd spot right now.
So technically right now Florida's in 2nd. I guess because the winning percentages, they're sitting at 8-2. So they got the same amount of losses as Tennessee, but 2 less wins. and maybe this thing's a little bit behind for the weekend. I don't know. Maybe there were some rained out games, but so you got Tennessee sitting at the top at 10-2. You've got Florida right behind them at 8-2, so not comfortable at all, right? And then that's where you have A&M right behind them at 10-4. So they've got the same amount of wins, but 2 more losses. And then Georgia, unfortunately, they fell even below LSU. LSU Lady Tigers are at 8-5. So they're 1 game ahead of Georgia now, who are sitting at 7-5. But going into the weekend, you had Georgia at 6-3, I believe, in the SEC. And because we got the series winning at 2-1, it's just a massive swing. You could have had Georgia right there at 2nd or 3rd place after this weekend, and we could have fell down to like 3rd place. But instead, the Lady Vols pulled out the series win and helped cushion their lead just a little bit. As I mentioned this earlier, there's only, I think, 4 SEC series left for the Lady Vols in the regular season. You blink one time and the dang season's almost it's halfway over. So this was big for the Lady Vols. They've kind of been questioning because their RPI. What's up, Jeff Mull? He's on the YouTube, brother. How you doing, man? Thank you for tuning in. Do us a favor, share the show, man. Let's get your friends in here as well. We'll have a party. This was big because obviously there's only 4 SEC series left, and they cushioned that gap just a little bit. But as I was saying about the RPI thing, Tennessee's early schedule hasn't been the toughest, right? But now they're going up against some stiff competition, and they're still proving that they belong at the top.
But to be fair with that RPI there, they did have some big games that got canceled due to weather. You had Florida State was on the schedule, it got canceled. UCLA once, they ended up playing them again in California, but they're supposed to play them in Florida, got canceled. Baylor, I believe, one of those games got canceled, and there's one more big name that I'm missing there as well, I know, but they've had like 5 or 6 teams that have got an RPI in the top 25 that games have gotten canceled due to weather.
Yeah. Misty, thank you for tuning in. What's up? We're having a party on this rubber match winning Sunday as Tennessee is 1-0 so far, going for 2-0. As the men's baseball team is going for the series right now as we speak. But Karen Weekly was asked during the game, like, hey, what was that win for you guys so far this season that's kind of been like the biggest win for you? And she mentioned the Clemson game. And I kind of agree with that. That was a big game, kind of like stuck in the middle of not so great competition, but the Lady Vols were able to step up, and that was a close win. I think it was 2-1. And, that's one of those games where shows you that this team is deserving of being at the top. The RPI is a little off. Not off. I think it's fair. But regardless of the competition that Tennessee's playing, they're still proving that they're one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with Karen Weekly on that. I do believe that Clemson game was the turning point in the season. Not that it was a bad start to the season, but, you played some tough competition. You were trying to get some girls some work, and you dropped a couple of games that maybe you wouldn't have right about now in the schedule.
Right.
That Clemson game was huge. Going on the road, picking up a 2-1 win, and that was pretty much, I won't say the catalyst because they were midway through the winning streak, but I am going to say the catalyst to that winning streak that they were on continuing now. Yes, you dropped 2 games in the last 2 weeks, but that's to be expected. You can't expect to just sweep every single series every weekend. We talked about it some with Blake the other night on the Up Tempo podcast with Auburn. And if you hadn't had a chance to check that out, go over to the YouTube, Facebook. It's on there somewhere. Check that one out. It was a fantastic collab with him.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah, if you can go in and take 2 out of 3, that's successful when it comes to baseball and softball.
Just don't get swept. That's the biggest rule, right? Just don't get swept. But the Lady Vols now are 30-6 overall. They're 10-2 in the conference. Check out this stat. They're 14-1 at home. I think Georgia was the first home loss for the Lady Vols, unfortunately.
It was the first home loss since last May against South Carolina.
Yep, but they're 12-1 on the road, which is fantastic. Now you're like, whoa, that math doesn't add up. That's only 2 losses. Well, in neutral site games at the tournaments they were doing at beginning of this year, they are 4-4. So that's where that thing adds up right there. But as I mentioned, there's only 4 series left. They got another series against Mississippi State. There's no midweek game. So this is a perfect opportunity for Kiki Malloy to get healthy and get ready to go, hopefully. Now, if it's day-to-day, I really expect her to go next weekend. If she would say, it's undisclosed, we don't know, like that would kind of raise some flags for me. But if it's day-to-day, hopefully, now I know she was wearing the boot, but hopefully it's really nothing that serious. But Mississippi State, and that is a road series at Starkville. Then you have that followed up by LSU, and that's at home, thank goodness. And then you have that midweek between LSU and Alabama against Belmont. So that's the only, I think, midweek game for the remainder of the season as you finish up the season with Alabama and Kentucky before you get ready for the SEC tournament. So you've got 13 games left on the season. And this is crunch time for the Lady Vols. They are in the driver's seat of this thing. They just got to finish it out. And honestly, I feel really confident they will.
I do as well. This is a very good Lady Vols softball team. You've got all the pieces that you need, along with one of the best coaches in the nation. I feel very confident in the Lady Vols softball.
Absolutely. Well, let's shift this talk over to the baseball team as they are playing Game 3 right now. I don't have an update for you. I apologize. Maybe you do if you got the game pulled up. But if you don't worry about it. But the Volunteers, we're done with the Lady Vols. They got punched in the mouth on a Friday night, which is something that if you listen to the podcast on Wednesday night, we kind of predicted this, right? I mean, we knew Auburn was going to come out and score some runs. We just didn't think that it would be 8 in the first 2 innings. I mean, that was insane, man.
All but one of the runs were scored in the first 2 innings of this ball game. Seeing the box score there. I mean, it was crazy.
I tuned in like 30, 45 minutes late, but I was like, I just want to check in on the game. Thank you, Miss Karen. She said 5-3, the baseballs are up. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for tuning in. Again, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We've had a lot of folks on the Facebook. So if y'all are listening, if y'all are tuning in, comment, let us know you're here. Share the show. Get your friends in here. We'll be talking about some ball. But no, Tennessee got punched in the mouth a little bit on Friday night. Something that honestly I expected. Unfortunately, our Friday nights have not been the greatest the last couple of weekends. And it just kind of continued that trend. But what were your overall thoughts in this night? Obviously, offense was stagnant from innings 3 through 9, but, I think that was one of those things where we got out to a hot start like we normally do on Fridays, but when Auburn answered right back, I think it shook us up a little bit, and we kind of lost a little bit of belief.
Yeah, it could have been that. I'm kind of like you, so I was finishing up listening to the softball game because I was already, I think it was 5 innings in by that point, so I was like, I'm going to finish this one out, listen to it, then I'll swap over to the baseball game.
Breaking news. Solo home run. The Vols are up 6-3. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go.
Thank you so much, man. I'm going to have to jump off here and watch that game. This is getting exciting. I'm joking. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll tune in as soon as the softball game is over. I want to hear the end of it. And I'd already missed the exciting part of the game by the time I tuned in. It was third inning when I tuned in, and I'm like, what happened? Well, Tennessee and Auburn offense is what happened, but I was kind of talking with Blake a little bit from the up-tempo pod during the game, and he was like, man, this is exciting. And I said, we got a little bit of everything that we wanted in this game. We got the offense at the beginning. We got the pitching battle in the middle. I mean, it was just unfortunate that Tennessee couldn't pull this one out, but unfortunately, A.J. Causey, another rough outing on Friday night. He got pulled after 1 1/3 innings. Aaron Combs came in and pitched 4 innings. Kirby Cannell 1 2/3, and then Chris Stamos came in to finish out the Tennessee pitching for the night. See, Christian Moore went 2 for 5 on the night. He hit a home run in the game. Blake Burke was 3 for 4. Kavares Tears was 2 for 3. He also homered in the ball game. Dean Curley 1 for 4. Cal Stark was 2 for 3 in the game. So you got some hits. Unfortunately, I think a lot of them were just there towards the beginning, and you didn't get enough multi-base hits in the middle innings because you still got hits throughout the game. It was just you didn't have those big hits to drive in those runs.
Right. Jeremy tunes in. He said, "What's up? How we doing?" Chastity's also here. Hey, how we doing? Thank y'all for for tuning in and listening. Again, like the show, share the show, whatever we do. We get a lot of people in here. We got the live game updates from Miss Karen, and we'll be just fine. But, yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, you had 2 home runs in 2 innings to start the game, and you thought it was like, okay, it's going to be one of those games. And then that's when you kind of seen the pitch and duel just start out. But one thing that impressed me the most is we talked to Blake from the Up Tempo podcast, like you mentioned, and he mentioned defense, how kind of they've been playing poor defense. Well, the 6-7 innings I watched, Auburn didn't make a single error, and they played lockdown defense. I mean, we were hitting the ball. It's just one of those things where we just couldn't find a way to get on the bag, and Auburn's defense locked down behind their pitcher, and that's something that I kind of felt like we were going to get Auburn's best punch, and unfortunately it happened on the Friday night. But as I said to you, I think I sent you this message. I said, look, I'll sacrifice a game 1 loss if it means we win the series, because I feel way better about a 2-1 series if we lose on Friday than I do if we lose on Saturday or Sunday. So it's just one of those things where it is what it is. We're going to have to figure out our Friday night starting pitching, though. A.J. Causey's not a terrible pitcher, and I think he settled in fine, but, man, he's getting roughed up. Drew Beam did a lot better. Usually he's been getting roughed up in the first couple of innings, but we're going to have to I know we're not perfect. I think we're overrated, and I still think that, but I do still believe that this team can go out there and accomplish anything they want to. They're just going to have to clean up some areas. So,
I'm kind of with you. We're a little bit overrated, but I did post a poll on the Twitter page earlier this week. I asked Vols fans, where do you think Vol baseball will finish this season? I had regionals, super regionals, or College World Series. 70% of the votes were College World Series this year.
And I agree with that. But I don't think they're 4th in the nation.
Well, I'll agree with that.
I think they're around 6 or 7.
The reason that they're so high right now is because
the competitive
non-conference slate, how good they did there. And granted, there were a lot of mid-major teams in that non-conference slate, but there were some good opponents as well. You only lost 1 game in your first 17, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah, I think they started out 1-18, 1-19, or 19-1 or something like that, because they were on a really long streak there for a while. Because they had the 15-game home streak, they swept all that, and then obviously they got punched in the mouth the moment they played Alabama. But they started out pretty hot. I mean, they're still doing great. Don't get me wrong. It's just one of those things where last couple of years you've been seeing us pull these sweeps left and right. And this year, I just don't think this team's built to do that this year.
Probably not. But at the same time, you look and, yes, you lost the series to Alabama 2-1. But if you get the win today against Auburn, you've won every other series that you've played so far. I mean, you beat Ole Miss 2-1. Last week, you beat help me out here. Who'd they play?
They played
Georgia. Yeah, and won the series 2-1. Yeah, Ole Miss, Georgia, and then this week against Auburn, you get the win here. You win the series 2-1, and that's all we ask for. Go in and win the series. You don't have to sweep. Just go in and take 2 out of 3. And right now, I do think the baseball team is built to do that, which is why I feel good about them once they get into the postseason, because a lot of times you're going to play 3 games, and if you could take 2 out of 3 of those games, you're moving on.
Absolutely. I want them to get a sweep somewhere to kind of help offset that Alabama series loss.
Let's just make it Vanderbilt, man.
That would be great. That would be a great way to end the year. That would be a great way to end the year going in the SEC championship game. Or no, is that who they? That is the final game. No, it's not. It's South Carolina. It's
okay.
Vanderbilt's the next to last series. I'm sorry, but still, it'd be great. I'd be fine with that. But let's talk about that game too, man, because that was a home run derby, my boy. As Tennessee posts up 6 home runs, this is what Blake was scared of. This is what we knew could happen, but I didn't want to rub it in Blake's face. Tennessee, man, the offensive explosion that we were waiting on. And like I said, that second inning, we talked about this, the third inning, putting up runs, just a massive amount of runs in one inning as Tennessee gets the big win, 12-2, as we run roll Auburn at Auburn. That is something Blake was very much worried about with this explosive offense. And unfortunately, he mentioned Auburn just doesn't have the pitching to keep up with 3 games. So he knew that this was going to happen at some point. And I think Auburn played their cards right by making it the Saturday so that they could try to save their arms for Sunday. Obviously, right now it's not working. Hopefully it stays that way. But, man, I tell you what was it? Dalton Bargo, 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. 3 RBI. I believe Semo went yard twice.
Semo went yard once, but Dylan Dreiling twice.
But that one home run he hit, dude, I don't think that ball got 15 feet above the ground. And that was a laser shot, if y'all seen that hit. What a day for the offense for Tennessee.
And one thing that we hadn't mentioned yet, I will get it pulled up.
I was letting you going to do it, brother. I was going to let you do it. Yes, sir.
The big story.
We now have a new home run leader. That's right.
Blake Burke passes Luke Lipsius yesterday with his 41st home run and counting, as he's a junior this year. And, of course, he can go to the MLB draft after this season, but we still got half a season left. And, I mean, Christian Moore, because Christian Moore is right behind Blake. I think Christian Moore is now at 39, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's close behind. Behind.
I mean, both of those are going to end up being 1 and 2 by the end of the season. In the home run.
Well, let's be honest. When you're a true freshman and you post 10 home runs in your freshman year, you get yourself a great head start to that home run leader status. This kid came in, was DHing as a true freshman, and was just yakking bombs, dude. I mean, that's all he did.
I mean, the storyline home run that I remember from his freshman season, you remember Kentucky in the SEC tournament? He gets up there and just crushes it to the tree line.
Okay, I was like, there was a home run he hit, and I thought it was in the SEC tournament. There's a building parked way behind that field, and I thought he hit the building.
That was last season in the Super Regionals against Southern Miss.
Yeah, I mean, that was disrespectful. I mean, like that was insane.
The one his freshman year in the SEC tournament, he hits, and the announcer just stopped, and they're like, "Whoa, this dude has got some power." And
because it's those hits that make you think that it's a grown man playing on a t-ball field. I mean, just when it's coming off the bat and it's still on its apex as it's clearing the fence, that's just not fair. It's crazy.
And that one that you mentioned from last year, the Southern Miss home run, that one tallied 471 feet, and as you mentioned, hit off the building in right field. Went over a parking lot. Now, it was a small parking lot, but went over a parking lot and hit the building.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of power this dude has got. And
you're talking a fence on that right field line that probably ends at 330, 340 at the deepest.
Yeah.
And he clears that by 150 feet. I mean, he almost hit a home run on 2 baseball fields. It's insane.
Yeah, and we talked about it before. When he gets up to the plate, it's just a different sound that the ball makes when it comes off the bat. But yeah, going back to the box score here. So I mean, it was
Drew Beam had a day.
Yeah, home run derby in this one, but the storyline that gets lost. Drew Beam, he only gave up 1 hit through 6 innings. Ended up only giving up 3 hits. Gave up 2 runs. 1 of them earned. Had 1 walk and 8 strikeouts in the game. Went all 7 innings. So love to see that from Drew Beam, who has struggled the last couple of weekends, but gets back on track this weekend against Auburn.
So Bargo and Dreiling both homered twice. Yep. You had obviously Christian Moore get that home run, and then Blake Burke hit that home run to left center, by the way. So he went oppo with it. That's something I'm telling you is something it's impressed me the most this year, is the fact that not only is he still hitting a lot of home runs, but he has fixed his swing in which he can take a ball wherever it's pitched. He is so dangerous for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that he's not sitting there waiting on his pitch, but he can take whatever you give him and still go yard, I'm telling you, man, that's gonna pay dividends when it comes to tournament time, because you're gonna have those pitchers do film study and know that they're gonna have to go low and outside to him, and he's still gonna be able to carry it. Oppo, that's gonna be huge. So, Miss Karen comes in again with another update. We are in the middle of the second. The Vols are up 7-3. Vols hit a grand slam and a solo homer in the top of the second. I think that's the second grand slam of the series, if she's talking about today.
You might be right.
I'll tell you what, death, taxes, and Tennessee grand slams. It's going to happen, dog. I'm telling you, I think that's another storyline, by the way, that we didn't even touch on, is the fact that this team, I think now, if that counts, we might be at 9 or 10 grand slams. Excuse me for not having the exact number, but I know for a fact That breaks the Grand Slam record for Tennessee Vols baseball in a single season.
Yeah.
And we still got 6 series to go, not including the midweeks. I'm telling you what, man, this team finds a way to get on base, and it's awesome that they're capitalizing on the bases loaded situations.
Yeah, so just a quick update on that box score. So Cal Stark was the one that hit the grand slam in the game. Christian Moore adds to his home run tally. I believe he is now at 4. Not 4, at 40 overall. So he is now tied Luke Lipsius for second and just one behind Blake Bird. Is this going to be one of those battles kind of like Luke Lipsius and name blanked on me. The guy that's behind Luke Lipsius, he was that same year, played catcher for us.
Oh, Lord.
Evan
Russell.
Yes,
Evan Russell.
Is it going to be a battle kind of like those two that year where they go back and forth throughout the season?
I'd be fine with that as long as they keep hitting home runs and not just sitting there and, all right, we're going to tie at this number. That way we both get it. No, horse crap, dude. Like, y'all just keep hitting bombs and whatever happens, happens. So, no, I tell you what, the baseballs are getting it done. It sounds like today, I can't believe it's only the second inning and it's 7-3. It's another one of those games where I hope they keep it going and not just stop playing ball after the second inning. But they are getting things done today, man. You got anything left on this 12-2 beatdown? And hopefully we got another one coming up. But we'll talk about it, I guess, coming up next week for you guys.
That's all I got on this one. So if you're good with it, we'll go ahead and move into segment 3, where we're going to talk about some Tennessee spring football. But before we do that, let me tell you about our segment 3 sponsor, Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So thank you very much, Kaizen Painting, for being our segment 3 sponsor. Now, before we hit Tennessee football, I do have a little teaser that I have been told that I can share with you, as we've got some big news coming Tuesday of this week, the day after the national championship game. We have been teasing something for probably 2 months now that we're a part of, and I have been told that I can share this right here with you guys. So we have got something called the College Huddle getting ready to start. That is going to be the big announcement on Tuesday, and this is a teaser of the website. Right now, we are at 70 plus podcast strong. It is one podcast for each Division I school. Our goal by football season is to try to have one for every single Division I school. Now, it's a lofty goal, but that is the one goal that we have. And once we officially launch the website on Tuesday, there's an article right here that's...
Is that us?
I'll throw myself a little bit of a bone. I wrote this article. Be nice about it. It's my first time ever trying to write an article, but it's on here as well. But there's...
Please go in there and correct the grammar mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see here, there's tabs. This is just news, popular tags that we have going on here, latest updates, huddle members. We got conference right here. This is awesome. I got to give a big shout out to Eric from the Ohio podcast. He has been the catalyst with all of this, getting this going, but some big news on the horizon, and we're actually going to have Eric on the show next Sunday to talk a little bit about all of this. So big things.
Exciting times. All right. Special plays, special players. No, I'm joking. Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about football. Obviously, we got the spring game coming up next weekend. Tennessee Athletics, if y'all schedule something on Masters Weekend one more time, I will come to Danny White's office personally, and I will give him a PSA that he is the worst athletic. No, I'm joking. Anyways, The spring game is going to be April 13th. They just wrapped up their second scrimmage, and it was a nice scrimmage. Did you see that?
It was a night scrimmage, and there were some players that showed out a little bit in that spring scrimmage.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I kind of wish that as a fan, I would want to watch a scrimmage more than the spring game, in my opinion.
But
just a little bit more.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is one where they didn't allow the media inside or anything.
No, they don't. No, it's just a practice.
Yeah, this is the one where all the coaches and everything, they're putting in stuff that they're getting ready for the season. So it's something that you don't want everybody else to see right now. Excuse me. Orange and white game, you're basically going to play basic stuff.
Yeah.
This is the one where the players can show their stuff.
Second scrimmage, right? So it's that, and you're locking down your positions. Like, you had your battles, now you're really starting to see who's fitting where, and you're kind of rock solid locking in those positions, right? You don't really want to carry a position battle into fall camp or into summer training. You want to have that thing locked down, ready to go. And so that's another reason why they don't really open that thing up, because if there is a position that was questionable, you know how head coaches are at football. They don't want people to know that. They don't want their opposing players to know, or their coaches and whatnot to know who's going to be where. They want them to kind of prepare for it. That's why Josh Heupel will never come out and say, yeah, a player's going to be out for 1 week only. He will say, he's day-to-day, we'll figure it out, But no, the scrimmage, I've seen some highlights. Very cool. They did it in Neyland Stadium at night. I thought that was really cool, especially for the incoming freshmen that have never been in that environment. Now, I know there's no fans there, but at least they got a chance to play on the field with that, with that atmosphere or surrounding. They probably played at a high school where 5,000 people watched them at most. And at Richland, you're talking 900.
Yeah.
But now they got a chance to go play and go practice at a stadium that, is basically a Colosseum. I mean, it's freaking massive, right? Coliseum is what I was trying to say. But anyways, we are going to talk a little bit about that. I kind of want to tease a little bit on the recruiting trail. So let's talk a little bit about that, because we haven't really touched on it. So Tennessee right now on the recruiting trail is, I believe, 12th right now per the On3. So just outside the top 10, that's okay. But we've got our guy, George McIntyre, in-state out of Nashville, Brentwood Academy. That guy has been a dog on the recruiting trail for us. He's basically been a recruiter. But we picked up Ethan Utley last week. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, actually. Defensive line. I think that's going to be a big get for us as well. It won't let me freaking scroll, Dad. We're having some technical difficulties, Dad. Okay, I apologize on that. But anyway, so we've got some guys, but we've got some recruits that are on campus right now. We had 5-star offensive tackle David Sanders back on Rocky Top. Now, this dude is a dog.
Yeah,
right? He is the number 2 prospect in the nation. He is the number 1 offensive tackle, and he loves George McIntyre. He loves Tennessee. So I think this might be one of the most important recruits.
Come on home.
Under Josh Heupel. I seriously think this might – I'm even saying over Nico. This might be one of the most important recruits under Josh Heupel, because quarterbacks are great, but they're only as good as their offensive line.
Yeah.
And so we've got to have these big men on the line to protect them, and David Sanders is the guy to do it. He even says, quote, Tennessee is one of my favorite schools in the country. Spire Sports Group, do your thing. All right, bring this kid home. We got to have him. This would be a big get. But even better news is on the other side of the ball, we have gotten a prediction from Steve Wiltfong that 4-star safety Lagonza Hayward, is coming home. And I tell you what, that excites me, because one thing that we have been weak on for the 3 years under Heupel is secondary. Let's improve that thing. All right, and we just did a complete overhaul of the secondary this season, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how they look this year. But being able to do it from the high school level rather than the transfer, I think organically is just a lot healthier. So let's bring this kid home, get him ready, let's coach him up, and man, I'm excited about what Heupel is being able to do. So that's 4-star safety, 5-star offensive tackle. I'm not saying expect a commitment anytime soon. I'm saying don't be surprised if they come home within the next month or so. But that's the latest news I've got on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, so I don't have anything else on the recruiting trail, but I do have some notes from the scrimmage the other night. A lot of this came from the Eric Ainge show the other day, but it was a great battle from everything I've told between the offense and the defense. It was just a fantastic battle overall. We mentioned Cam Seldon last week out for the spring with a shoulder surgery. You've also got freshman Peyton Lewis. He had shoulder surgery before spring practice started.
Khalifa Keith, do your thing, son.
I was going to say, the question was who's going to step up and be that guy in spring? Two guys at running back, actually. Khalifa Keith being one of them. The other one, Deshaun Bishop.
Yes.
Deshaun Bishop, local guy. Any Carnes, maybe? Somewhere up there in Knoxville. Yeah. Around the Knoxville area, local guy. He has done some big things in spring practice so far. Josh Heupel, very high on him. Mike Matthews, 5-star wide receiver, freshman this year.
He's going to see the field. He's going to see the field.
He's showing out all in spring practice. So is Braylon Staley. And another name that we are excited to hear about, and it's good that he's on the practice field, Dante Thornton. They've got him playing outside, and he's been showing up and showing out in spring practice as well. Nico just keeps doing his thing. You're not hearing any exciting things from him, but he's staying consistent, and that consistency is playing at a high level right now. So Nico's still doing his thing.
I think no news is good news with our Tennessee Vols this year.
Exactly.
Because I think if the only news, if you're seeing headlines coming out of spring, it's probably going to be injuries. So I'd rather keep that at a minimum. We already know the hype's there. We're seeing that in bunches. I'll tell you what, the media team for Tennessee Volunteers is good night. We got some live updates coming in, and it's just another one. Look at another 3-run homer for the Vols. Cal Stark, she said number 10 hit it, so I'm assuming she's thinking Cal Stark.
That's number 2 on the day for Cal Stark. So.
Look, hey, Cal Stark coming out, baby. So it's 10-3 in the top of the third from Miss Allen. Thank you so much for the live updates, and keep updating us as long as it's good news. If it's bad news, you better not say anything, all right? You let me find that out on my own. But if they're keeping – look, so they had 6 home runs yesterday. They had 2 home runs in the loss on Friday night.
They've already got 3 today.
This team's insane, bro. This team is insane. The offense is there. I'm telling you, they just got to clean some stuff up in the pitching staff, and they'll be all right. She said, got it. I appreciate you. But, yeah, with the football team, I honestly lost my train of thought after that baseball update. But, yeah, I think no news is good news in the spring. We want to keep everybody healthy as much as possible. I've heard a little bit about Brew McCoy kind of trying to be active, but, man, just sit him out. Just let him sit, be good. Same with the offensive line, obviously. You've got veteran, experienced offensive line. Get those young guys in. Get them prepared to step up because somebody is going to get injured. It's football. It's going to happen. We got to make sure we build that 2 and 3 deep at the offensive line position, something we're not going to have. So we just got to be very selective in where we have it, right? So the offensive tackles, the guard positions. Hopefully we can keep Cooper healthy at center because Josh Heupel proved last year we really didn't have a backup center. So we got to keep Coop healthy. The tight ends, I'm hearing some great things out of the tight end room.
Yeah, tight end room is looking good.
We had the transfer come in from Notre Dame and Holden Stays. I'm hearing some great things about him. Ethan Davis going to be kind of like a 1-2 punch. But we've got that Alabama transfer. The name is slipping on me. But he's going to be the 3. But, man, I've heard some great things about him this spring. So
yeah, I can't remember his name either, but I've heard some things about him as well. The last 2 notes that I have here, defensive line is absolutely the most exciting part
100%
from the spring. I mean, you've got the talent coming back from last year as well.
Big O, Elijah Simmons, James Pierce Jr., I mean, Joshua Josephs.
You got them as well as, incoming freshman Jordan Matthews, a 5-star.
Jordan Ross.
Jordan Ross, not Jordan Matthews.
Jordan Ross, yeah. But you've got I think there's another one that's slipping on me. David Hobbs. Yeah. David Hobbs, I'm telling you right now, keep a lookout from him. He's going to be, I think he's a redshirt freshman now. He was here last year, but expect him to kind of come out into the spotlight this year. I think he's going to kind of have an opening, kind of like James Pierce Jr. had, where his first year you really didn't see anything out of him, and then that second year he turns into an All-American. And I'm not saying David Hobbs will do that, but I think that he can make that type of potential jump improvement this year from year 1 to year 2. David Hobbs, I'm telling you, he's a good kid.
Yeah, and all of these guys that we've called out, they're going to get their time on the field because Rodney Garner, he's all the time rotating guys, bringing in new guys. He's keeping them fresh.
Cheetah package. Tuesday. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I mean they're going to get their time, and they've got the possibility this year to have the best rush defense in the SEC. And when you have that, it quite possibly could be the best rush defense in the nation.
I've already seen articles about James Pierce Jr. becoming the number 1 overall pick in the next year's draft.
Hey, he very well could.
Defensive lineman.
Yeah, I do think that he needs to get a little bit bigger. I mean, he's already made good strides, but he needs to get a little bit bigger. He's already got the speed. I mean, guys were double-teaming him last year as a freshman. So, I mean...
Sophomore.
Sophomore. I'm sorry. That's my mistake.
No, you're good.
I mean,
you're right. I mean, but think about this. This is what makes me smile, because this time last year everybody was saying that about Alabama's defensive line or LSU's and Harold Perkins, and now everybody's saying that about our defensive line.
Yeah.
You pair our defense up, and this is what Josh Heupel's been working at. I mean, he said it from day one. As good as our offense has been, Heupel's like, hey, we're going to have elite defense. And everybody laughed at that comment because of how bad our defense was. But Heupel knew what he was doing behind closed doors. And I think this year, you're going to see, for the first time under Heupel, you're going to see a competent offense with a competent defense. And I think that's going to make us dangerous. I'm not going to say we're going to have the best offense or the best defense, but I'm saying you're going to see a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense together. And just like the basketball team, when you have both those paired, you're going to be in the conversation of winning it all. Now, I know the basketball team came up a little short, but in the Ken Palm rankings, they were top of the nation in defense and I think top 20 in the nation in offense, and that's what made Tennessee so special. I think they just ran into a powerhouse in Purdue, man. Purdue's in the championship game now. It is what it is. Right now, Tennessee fans can say we finished third in the nation because, I mean, NC State didn't even put up as hard of a fight as we did with Purdue. But no, I think this year you're going to see it from both sides of the ball. Defense has already been solid. I mean, that's what won us a couple of games last year, especially like A&M game comes to mind.
Yep.
What a defensive game that was. And then D. Williams making the play at the 1 yard line to get them stuffed, and they're deep in their own territory. Then they go 3 and out, and then that's what caused that punt return, which D. Williams returned it. D. Williams might have single-handedly won that game.
Yeah.
But, so defense is going to be key, but I love what I'm seeing out of Nico. Dalton, he tunes in, man. We got some folks in the YouTube, or in the Facebook. I appreciate you guys tuning in. He said, you take some pressure off that offense with the top 10 defense, it's over. And that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's what I think Heupel's been working really hard behind the scenes to make sure that's happening. And, it's unfortunate that we lose the linebackers coach and whatnot, but I don't think we downgraded at all. No. I think it's going to be a turnkey position coach. And you got a key leader in Keelan Peely right there. I know he didn't play a lot last year, but he's always been that father figure of the linebackers group because, I mean, the dude's like 26 years old. He's got a kid. I think he's been married for 3 or 4 years. I mean, That dude's going to hold it down as far as leadership goes. He's going to train those guys up. And we got some good linebackers coming in. Arian Carter, that dude's going to be a dog. And he's going into a sophomore season. And I look for the defense to be pretty freaking good this year.
Yeah, Keenan Pili, Arion Carter, Elijah Herring. I mean, it's a good group right there.
Just got to stay healthy.
Yeah. The last note that I have is there's been very good things coming from the wide receiver and the secondary. They're just battling out there. DB's making it hard on the wide receivers making it hard on the DBs. And what I'm hearing is this overhaul that Tennessee made this year in the secondary. They are very athletic. And if they are athletic on top of actually
coachable,
tackling folks,
yeah, exactly.
Coachable, actually tackling folks. If you can get a secondary that can actually tackle this year, that's going to help more than anything because Tennessee's front 7, front 8 last year was awesome. I mean, they were top half of the conference, but the secondary couldn't tackle a lot of times, which resulted in big plays. If you can get a defense, because that's the style of defense that Tim Banks wants to play. He wants to play aggressive and keep everything in front. Well, that works when you've got guys that can tackle. If you got a defense like 2021 Georgia, where they keep everything in front of you and they get you down right there, then that's exactly what you need. If Tim Banks can get that from his secondary this year, then this Tennessee team has got a chance to go far. And I wrote it in my article there. I think that the absolute minimum expectation for this team this year is 9-3. I think that it's sitting at 10-2 is the expectation.
And that's under Nico's first year.
Yeah,
That's where you have to keep understanding that, it's Nico's first year. So to go out there and say that they're going 12-0 is a little far-fetched, but I think Nico has the biggest ceiling out of any quarterback we've had here at the university.
Yes, and it's a very real possibility Tennessee makes the 12-team playoff, and that should be the expectation. Now that
100%.
Now that there's a 12-team playoff, your expectation should be being in that playoff year in and year out.
I think the biggest game, without going too far in depth into the whole season, because we're going to do an episode on this, but I think that Oklahoma game in Norman is going to be such a big swing game. I don't even think it's Florida. I think it's Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma.
I think Florida should just be a known win. I know it's hard to say that because it's Florida, but we get them at home. We get them with another new quarterback, or maybe not new quarterback. I can't remember what the hell is going on in their situation. But
Graham Mertz is still there at Florida.
Graham Mertz is still there. Well, he's not getting any of the talk in the offseason because it's all about this freshman that's come in and is apparently knocking lights out in the scrimmages and whatnot. But Graham Mertz is still there. I'm fine with that. I didn't think Graham Mertz was that great. I just think that we just can't win in the swamp. I don't know what it is about it, but I think Florida should be a known win. I think we need to really take care of business against them this year at home. But that game in Norman, man, against Oklahoma, Josh Heupel's alma mater, he's going back home. I think that needs to be a big win. I think that's going to be the pendulum that swings us from 10-2 to maybe another 8-4 season. And I don't want to talk about a season if we go 8-4 again. I know that used to be our ceiling. But with Josh Heupel, that really needs to not even be our floor. Our floor from this moment on is 9-3.
Yep, I agree with you. So
I do want to show the folks, because I had some weird, I don't know what the crap was going on, but let's show the folks the recruiting class right now. Is we got 7 commits, 3 out of the state of Tennessee, 2 from Nashville, and our top 2 recruits here, as you see, Ethan Huntley and George McIntyre from Nashville, Tennessee. But we got Jack Van Dorseeler from Southlake, Texas, tight end 4-star. That was a massive commit as well. And then we've got some 3-stars, but I think they're very highly rated 3-stars that can, as long as they got some good coaching, they will turn into something very nice. I think, let's see, Jakeem Dotson is that 3rd guy from Tennessee. So we've got 3 guys from the state of Tennessee. We've got 3 of the top 20 players from the state of Tennessee. So not only are we getting solid recruiting classes, I know some folks see the 3-stars and they just immediately write them off, but Josh Heupel is recruiting the home state and then working, his way around. And I think that's going to be key to getting us back to the top. So we've got this, as you can see, we've got 7 commits. We've got 2 guys that I'm really thinking are about to jump in the boat, which is going to take us, as you see right here, from 12th. We're going to jump inside the top 10 if we can land that offensive tackle and that 4-star safety. And it's crazy. We're 12th in the nation, but still 6th in the SEC. That's just how it is. So We're going to have to do what we got to do. But seeing that class score at an average of above 90, that is good. That means you have some 3-stars, but they're very highly rated. Mm-hmm. And so you see our blue chip ratio at the moment is 43%, but guys, there's a long way to go. If we can get this to about 60%, that's solid. That's a solid class. Obviously, we want to get it closer to 70%, but we'll see where it goes from here. But as you can see, our in-state talent, almost half our class right now is in-state talent. So that's what you love to see. And if you're a fan of Josh Heupel, you're loving what you're seeing both on the field and off the field. And what Josh Heupel's doing around the program, not just, on field, practicing and coaching, but what he's actually doing for these student athletes off the field, getting them prepared for the life after sports or whatever. I mean, he's really taking care of these kids. That's what's building this strong culture inside the locker room. You're not seeing any fights in the locker room. Kentucky. You're not seeing any of that. You're not seeing any of that toxic stuff. Even with this world of NIL and, hey, I'm making more than you, it's not about that here, man. This is a team. Josh Heupel says this is a family, and I believe that. And I love to see where this program is headed. But, man, this week's been fun. It's been a lot of turmoil, obviously, with the Lady Vols basketball program. But we're excited about the future. Miss Karen chips in. Auburn's on the third pitcher of the game. Bases loaded, 10-3 in the top of the third, no outs. Dude, let's wrap up this show so we can go see this thing, man. Let's ride. Do you have anything final comments?
I do want to get two more small things from you.
Let's do it.
One, who's winning the women's championship? Who I believe is tipping off right about now.
Oh, South Carolina and Iowa? It's South Carolina all day.
Yeah, South Carolina. I'm right there with you. And before I get your prediction on the Purdue-UConn game, I do want to pull this up real quick. This was on Twitter this past week from Landon Raby. So apparently,
did you say Landon Rabies?
Raby, R-A-B-Y.
Okay.
So apparently Zach Edey used to pitch some in high school, and this edit was made this past week.
Foul on Tennessee. I thought somebody was gonna come out and say foul on Tennessee for looking at this video or some shit like that.
No, absolutely love that. Just take the Drew Gilbert home run.
Oh man,
that was awesome right there. I laughed so hard.
The bat flip after that home run was insane, dude. Oh my god.
There's a reason why that's on our intro video. So.
I love it, man.
Let's get down to it. Purdue or UConn?
As much as I think I bet on Alabama, they cost me all my money last night. I was taking them to win. I was taking them to beat UConn to like 15 points. They didn't do any of that. I think UConn's a solid team. I am interested in the battle of the centers there because you got two centers there that are let's ask the folks watching. Iowa. He says Iowa, so he's going Iowa over South Carolina. Okay, so he's taking the ladies basketball prediction. He's taking Iowa. We appreciate y'all. Who do you think's winning the ladies championship game and the men's championship game? I'm gonna give my 2 cents. That's not worth 2 cents here in just a second, but I do think South Carolina is going to win in the ladies. Not that the refs have been helping Caitlin Clark get there because she shot the lights out of that ball in that I think it was the Elite Eight matchup against LSU. But I just see Iowa as being beatable. I don't really see South Carolina as being beatable. And now I know that sounds stupid because we almost beat them twice, but I don't know, man. I just think at the end of the day, South Carolina is going to get it done. But Iowa for the ladies, South Carolina and UConn is what Miss Karen says. Lunch? But anyway, so I think South Carolina for the ladies. For the men's, I'm going to take Purdue. All right, we got put out by Purdue. I don't like Purdue, but I'd rather Purdue win it for Tennessee's sake to know that, hey, the team we lost to won it all, and we did everything we could. It's unfortunate being to that. We're putting bets on this. We'll talk about that later. They're putting bets on this thing, man. I tell you what. So UConn comes in. Missy says UConn. What do you think, man? I kind of want to know because I think UConn is more athletic of a team. In fact, I might just put my foot in my mouth because I think UConn is the better team. But, man, I just think Purdue, you feed that ball to Edey, and, I mean, it's over. I mean, but that's where I think that center battle with UConn, it could be very spectacular.
I've got, of course, South Carolina in the women's. And another storyline about this one, Iowa actually put South Carolina out in the Final Four last year. Yeah. So I think South Carolina is going to get some revenge in there. I just think South Carolina is a little bit better team. On the men's side, I believe I'm going to have to go UConn. I do believe they are the better team.
I think so.
I think they're the more athletic team. But
I think so.
The battle between the two centers, Zach Edey and, I cannot remember.
It's a weird last name.
Yeah, I cannot remember UConn's what their player's last name is. You give me just a second, I get it pulled up.
Yeah, you go ahead. You talk about that, but don't buy me. The guards, I think, for UConn are a little bit better too, shooting the ball than for Purdue. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, that's going to be a key because I'm pretty sure the Purdue game yesterday. How many fouls did Edey have?
I'm not sure how many he had. But he only drew 2 fouls. He only went to the free throw line once in the game.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Donovan Clingan. That's his name.
Clingan.
He
He blocked, I think, about 17,000 shots against Alabama. So I'm really intrigued by that. But like I said, I think UConn's guards are just a little bit more athletic. And I think a lot of Purdue's performance – look, Purdue only got, maybe 63 points against NC State? 20 of those were the Edey. That was a terrible shooting night all across the board. But Edey had 40 of the, 80-something they posted up against, or 73 that they posted up against Tennessee. So I guess the point I'm trying to say is you're not going to get 35 to 40 points out of everybody else. It's really going to be what can Edey put up. I think UConn's kind of the opposite. They get their points from a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, they get it from everybody.
And so I think if one person's on an off night, that's not going to hurt UConn near as bad as if one person's got an off night against Purdue or on Purdue.
I will say a storyline to watch for in this game is going to be Braden Smith for Purdue. He had just an awful game last night against NC State.
Yeah.
I expect him to put up big numbers against UConn, but I still don't think it's going to be enough because you mentioned it. UConn gets it from a little bit of everywhere.
Yep.
Where Purdue, if there's one guy that maybe isn't having his best night, then they're not going to pull it out, I don't think. And I do believe UConn gets it tomorrow night. I do think that it is going to stay within that 10-point range, though, which would be the first time in the last 2 tournaments. I mean, UConn's on an insane streak of 14 straight tournament games with double-digit wins.
Yeah.
So well, I do think that streak ends tomorrow night and Purdue keeps it within 10, but UConn pulls it out.
Well, we'll be watching it regardless. But man, I appreciate the show today. We appreciate everybody watching. We had a lot of people in the chat box. We appreciate you guys commenting, interacting with us, having fun with us on this Sunday afternoon. We might have to cancel the show next week because I don't do anything during the Masters. But anyways, no, we'll work that stuff out. I'm pretty sure we got some guests coming on, so we can't delay that thing. But we appreciate y'all tuning in. Michael, if you don't have anything else on the show, let's wrap this thing up, brother. Y'all have a good one. Go Big Orange.
Let's do it. Go Big Orange.
I'm a ball for life, y'all. I bleed orange and white, y'all. I will till I die, y'all. I'm a ball for life, yeah. Raised up on John Ward, giving 6 in the checkerboard till I'm gone.